1970, we sure we did the forefront. Knowledge for selfish, for sure we did the work. Auditorium to basement of all faculty of law. We did represent, stand tall anywhere we go. Work hard and we shine, commitment, dedication. Neurosurgery, comedy, music, Nollywood. SOTK, Dr. Call, MC Casino. We did represent, stand tall anywhere we go. Great UNIBEN, great UNIBEN, great UNIBEN, great UNIBEN. Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of the UNIBEN Alumni Series. This is a program where we celebrate distinguished alumni of the University of Benin, men and women that are doing great things in their different endeavors, while also celebrating the institution for what it has done over the years and what it's still doing. And on today's episode, we have a scholar with us today. He is an associate professor in the Department of Political Science, Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Benin. He was two-time HOD of the department. Is Dr. Charles Eghweree. I hope I got that correctly, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Charles, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, let's start from the foundation, the very basics. You studied political science and public administration at your undergraduate level at the University of Benin. What influenced your choice of political science and public administration at that time?
Well, let me start by thanking you for having me on your program. I'm an avid follower of the program. I watch other episodes and glad that you have me on today. Well, to your question, interestingly, I never had political science in mind.
Okay.
Yeah, the jam that took me to UNIBEN was for me to study law. You know, fortunately, the jam happened to me. I think that year I saw 208 years. And that was obviously too low for law in UNIBEN. So I ended up in pol science. In fact, at the point I was faced with two options of having either political science or ILD. You know, but because of some kind of internal likeness for political science or politics at its way, I had to opt for the option of political science. So I ended up in pol science.
Okay.
And in 100 level, it was fun. I now fell in love with it in 200 level, and here we are today.
No, you didn't bother writing jam like others do. Writing jam again.
No. After the first section, that first year, it became obvious that we could do something good for ourselves, and we just concentrated instead of dissipating energy and looking for that jam and going back to law.
Okay, and you just mentioned that you scored 208 in jam that brought you into the institution, and you went ahead to make a first class. How was this? Because to be fair, 208 is not one of the highest scores when it comes to jam. Yes. But you went ahead, not looking back at how you came in, especially when it was not even your preferred course, but you went ahead to make a first class in the department. How were you able to manage this? How were you able to do this?
Well, thank you so much. I think it was two factors. One, God, then two, my elder brother, who was more than ready. He was too interested in my success. Interestingly, I was a bit proud to when I wrote down to get direct admission into full-time. I was on a diploma program, diploma in banking and finance. And my elder brother was so supportive to the extent that he would drive to campus, encourage me, make promises that, oh, if you can come out with best colors, these are make promises which he fulfilled thereafter, and because I didn't want to fail him, I didn't want to fail him. All I did was just to ensure that at the end of the day, he will be happy in anticipation of his expectation.
Mm.
So, beside God, he was the push.
Yeah.
It was the push who gave me that kind of catalyst that moved me into doing my very best to ensure that I come out.
Yeah.
In
You said
fact,
you
as a
didn't.
matter of fact,
Okay.
first class was not in the picture. I was just doing my best to ensure
Yes,
that.
that's why I wanted to ask. When you say you didn't want to fail him, was it first class that was the target, or you just wanted to do
No,
well? And
no, I just wanted to do well.
no,
I
okay.
never, in fact, it was not until 200 level, before the 2 or 300 level, that the idea of first class popped up in my head.
Okay, that
I
is
didn't
doable.
plan it. Even in fact, the thing that even brought the idea is funny. It's not what I want to disclose here, but
Okay.
something came up that I think I can open up on that.
Okay.
There's this girl that I had likeness for in 300 level, and she now told me that I like you. She said she liked me, but she doesn't want me to miss my first class.
Oh.
That she had heard my story in my department. That if she agrees to be my girlfriend, I will lose track. I should just go ahead and focus on my studies and come out. I said, it was at that point I said, is there something like first class? I didn't have it in mind from the beginning, but because of that challenge she threw at me, every other thing fell in place and God was just there for me.
Okay. I believe towards your final year, or as you said, penultimate to final year, you knew it was possible to get a first class. And later on, today you are in the academic, you are an associate professor. Did you think of going into lecturing? Say, making the first class and going into lecture, was that part of the plan?
Honestly, that wasn't really. But at the towards end of my NYC service in Kano, I had offer with Zenith Bank to resume in their headquarters in Lagos. The UNIBEN offer came. I brought both offers to my elder brother,
Hmm.
who then advised I should pray about it and make a choice. Then I went on to meet Professor Ikelegbe, who equally counseled. Then I prayed, and I had the peace of mind pitching my tent with lecturing, and that's how I opted to lecture. It wasn't really my plan. I was more like a child of so that's a destiny or circumstances happening and just taking decisions based on the leading of the Holy Spirit. And I had peace settling for UNIBEN or settling for lecturing as it were. And one thing struck me, the fact that I was recognized by the institution, based on
Yeah,
the
academics.
graduation academic seat,
Hmm.
having the honor to come back and contribute to the institution that made me, I was humbled. I just felt, oh, if they humbled me, if they honored me with this kind of position, then so be it. And it's been fun.
Okay. You spent more than 2 decades as a student, as a lecturer in the institution. Now, looking back, especially when you were a student, what will you say was your most cherished moments in school as a student? Where were those things, those activities, those events that took place that you could look back and you could smile and said, "Oh, this was actually a great time back then."
Well, what I miss most is our old time. I wouldn't want to say I'm now old school, but the Gen Zs of nowadays, they are making us look as though we are very old.
Mm,
In those days, respect
mm,
was a priority. We operated based on the rule of engagement, the moral norm, the societal norm of doing things in order. But now things have changed. You know, in those days, we almost at the point of worshiping our lecturers. You don't have the guts, you don't have that capacity or the guts to look at your lecturer and argue with them. And interestingly, this reserve type, most of my lecturers didn't know me, didn't know me one on one. They knew me through my script. So I didn't have the luxury of having to associate with lecturers, you know. But now it has changed. Students are even the one wanting, they are so frontally coming to you, wanting to know you. And we never had that luxury. That space was there. And within that space is that huge deposit of respect we have for our teachers. But that is what I miss. That respect we have for our teachers is no longer there. It has dissipated through the times, the season, and all that. Things have changed. So I miss that old time where where we had to go to the library. We struggle in the morning to get space. But now within the comfort of our home, you know, they can access the internet, a lot of distractions. So I made the old time where we wake up early enough to get to the library to get a good space.
Yeah.
Where we cook beans, where we can cook beans in hall 4 and go and read and come back. It was a communal living. But now I don't think that's it.
Okay. You mentioned the Gen Zs, which are your students these days. And you also mentioned that there's not much respect as you used to have it in your time, which I quite agree. But also the approach of the Gen Zs in quotes, don't you think that will help in mentorship, the student-teacher relationship? Because I think, I'm just my thoughts, that the students approaching the lecturers, that might help the students to have this quite comfortable relationship with their lecturers where they will be able to learn and the mentorship system can work better. Don't you think that will help?
Well, it is. It should ideally,
Yeah.
if it is built on mutual respect. You know, interestingly, the rock did not begin in the university system. What we have playing out in the larger society is a gradual, what we can refer to as a finitesimal failure of the family institution. The Gen Zs probably having parents that are not properly trained, are not having this um, corrupted character or manner. So some of them don't have manner of approach. They ask for things that is not within their right to ask for. You can only mentor who is ready to learn, who is willing to go through the full length of mentorship. What most students do, they come around you to seek favor. They come around you to make sure that they bypass the rules. They come around to make sure they pass easily, which is not the rule of engagement. There's no mentor who wants his mentee or her mentee to become lazy on account of association. Like if you are not yielding to their needs,
Yeah.
they tag you as a bad person. They desert you. And these are the things some of us have gone to have to experience, because that you are close to me doesn't mean I must accede to all that you are requesting. It's not a yardstick for you to become lazy. It's not a yardstick for me to now become your apostle of speaking to other lecturers that, this is my friend or my candidate or my mentee. He or she didn't do well, pass her or pass him. No. So the expectation and the hope of mentorship do not align. The expectation of most Gen Z is for you to become a leeway to approaching those they cannot approach. While the whole essence of mentorship is for you to be the father figure or mother figure to your students.
Yeah.
But most of them are not willing to learn. Most of them are not willing to go through that full length of mentorship. And if that is the basis of the student-lecturer relationship, then it's a faulty one. And that's the reason why most of us who are principled to stand on the part of let's do it right may not have the crowd.
Okay. That's very apt, sir. You were head of departments twice. what were some of the key challenges you faced as head of department, and the ones we were able to resolve? I know the university challenge is a Nigerian challenge. We have challenge as a country which boils onto our institution. But you as HOD of the department, a two-time HOD, what were those challenges you faced when you came in during your time as HOD, and how were you able to tackle the ones you did?
Thank you so much. Well, my emergence as HOD was really unexpected because it was during the COVID-19, July 1st, 2020, yes, onset, the heat of COVID-19. So I was announced HOD. I wasn't the most senior person in the department. I have others ahead of me and all that. So it came to me like a surprise. And interestingly, I have people who are almost of the same time with me, colleagues who graduated almost the same time with me.
Hmm.
And you know what that means? I'm not the oldest, and some have perception about me that I am Mr. No Nonsense. So from the very beginning, there was a war of defense, this artificial defense. Okay, let's see what he can achieve. So but somehow the things I believe and strongly fought for stood out to be what is right. I didn't have so many support, but few of the support that I got was able to enable me, helped me to be able to overcome some of that. And one of the greatest things that worked for me, I was a hands-on person. So I didn't wait for anybody to circumvent my efforts. Before I think of anything innovative, I must have gone ahead to do the feasibility study, done part of it. I will give a task. Even while giving the task, I will go ahead and double up. In case you fail, I will not end up failing myself. So, and some of the technical challenges are, like you said, are the Nigerian challenges. Infrastructure. Infrastructurally, we lack some of the material we needed to function well as academics. And what I did was to latch on to the partnership that the Vice Chancellor, Professor Salami, then was, utilizing to develop the university. I reached out to alumni of the department, and help came, especially during our accreditation. I had support to the extent that we're able to change some tables for professors and some other colleagues, got laptop for our postgraduate program. So I didn't look within the four walls of funding from the university alone. I looked beyond. I was able to reach out to those who were willing to help us, and help came. Help came, and we were judicious in utilizing the resources given to us. So it wasn't easy, but somehow God came through for us.
Yeah, and I think I should add this. I must commend you during your time as HOD, because it was quite easy for we alumni to get reference letters. When we had issues with our transcript, we could easily walk to your office, and you were very assistant. And thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Let's talk about what you learned from the institution, or what you're still learning since you are still in the institution now as a lecturer. Well, you came in as a student of political science and public administration, spent 4 years, made it first class. You went outside to get your master's and your PhD, then came back as a lecturer now. What will you say the institution has taught you, or what is it teaching you that is still very relevant to your everyday duty, everyday work today?
Well, one striking lesson I've had, or I have had and still continue to experience, UNIBEN taught me that hard work pays. That hard work pays. There's no shortcut. Irrespective of whatever any narrative anybody is pushing at the moment, hard work is the bedrock of whatever you want to achieve. Take my story, for instance. One naive guy from Omokaro without experience, who was able to read, work hard, achieve by the great grace of God, achieve, the little we've been able to achieve, and still making little impact in our own little way. It's not by who I know. It's by sitting my ass down, burning the midnight candles, and ensuring that God is uppermost in our minds. So hard work pays. I'll give you a very typical example. It was much later I discovered why I was appointed head of department. When the PG coordinator at the time in the department was indisposed, I had to step into his shoes. I was able to assist him. I aided in running the postgraduate program. I wasn't the coordinator, but he was indisposed. I stood in for him. I did all I could to ensure that the program did not suffer any form of delay. I never knew that all that I was doing was being taken note of. So when the need to have the issue that can move the department to the next level came on board, I wasn't there when the decision was made. It was the hard work I put into the postgraduate program as an assistant to the PG coordinator that spoke for me. So in all what am I trying to establish? Hard work as a student gave me the first class. Hard work as a support for the PG coordinator made it possible for me to be head of department. So it's a very big lesson I learned from the University of Benin, that hard work is the key to your crown in life.
Yeah. Okay. I mentioned earlier that you backed your BSc, Political Science and Public Administration from the University of Benin. Then you went outside the university, but within Nigeria to get your master's. Then you got your PhD in the United Kingdom. That's in your academic journey. You went to 3 different institutions to get your certifications. Where can you place the University of Benin in all of this? Not trying to compare, but where can you place the institution, the UNIBEN, in all of these certifications?
Well, UNIBEN, you see, it's always difficult. This is a very difficult question you're asking me. But one thing I know is that UNIBEN is very dear to my heart. There's no way you can compare the roof to the foundation. The foundation is always the best because it's on the foundation that you have whatever you have in the building standing. So UNIBEN is unique in its own way. Why? UNIBEN has this mixture of, should I say, traditional and urban outlook. If you want to talk about highly cultured people, you have it in UNIBEN. And if you want to talk about people who are exposed as well, you have it in UNIBEN. It's just a blend of 2 cultures. You know, with the rich Benin cultural ambience enveloping the community, UNIBEN community, you can never miss it as a graduate of University of Benin. Then with the urban and exposure, as urban culture in University of Benin, you tap into the rich expose of either UNIBEN lecturers or UNIBEN alumni, or even those that you relate with, having association with University of Benin. So UNIBEN is in a class of its own. You know, in UI, we have its own plus side. Then you know what it is in the UK. You take away technology from UK, take away the beautiful surrounding, you know, but that communal feeling that you have in UNIBEN is not what you can compare with any university anywhere in the world. I mean, obviously not the ones that have reached so far. So UNIBEN is in a class of its own, if you ask me.
Okay. As an academic, what do you find challenging in being an academic in Nigeria? I know earlier on when you were talking as HOD, you talked about infrastructure and all. What are those other things that you find challenging as an academic in Nigeria?
Well, the greatest threat to academics in Nigeria is the Nigerian state. I say that to mean that those of us in the academic system, we are poorly remunerated. You know, the excuse that, oh, the teacher's reward is in heaven is playing out in our life. And majority of us find it extremely difficult to cope. extremely difficult to cope. And that's a challenge. An empty stomach may not be able to do his or her work effectively. The story of some of our colleagues becoming doing on printable things, from what it means. It's simply and it's not a justification though, but it can be a reason for so many people to go extra mile to get to eke out a living. So the greatest threat to academics in Nigeria is their remuneration, poorly remunerated. It's in the news recently. There's no professor except you are at the bar, and that's when you can go home with as much as 600,000. What is 600,000 to an unmarried young Nigerian as of today? Let alone a professor with children with retinue or relative to support. So there's really need to be this need to be looked into. The Nigerian government needs to look into it. I see no reason why. I'm not trying to compare academics with politicians, but I see no reason why a senator should be going home with 21 million and academics of the highest, highest standing to be going home with less than a million naira. I'm currently in a sabbatical in a place in Nigeria, and I know what it means. I know the difference. So the greatest threat is the economic survival. The capacity to survive economically is low. It's minus 15 if you compare it to normal indices. So that's the greatest threat, I think.
Yeah, and do you think this would discourage people to go into academic, to go into research going forward?
Well, it may not. It may for those who know their onions, who have alternative means of survival. It will not for those who do not have alternative to surviving. And you see how a scrupulous element that want to come into the system to make money, in quote. So for such caliber of people, yes, it's an attraction. Whether the money is high or low, they want to come in because they have other attraction, they have other motives, But ideally, I know how many of our colleagues who have had to leave the shores of this country. That's brain drain. Nobody's talking about the exodus of brains from the Nigerian state to the West. At the end of the day, we end up impoverishing our society, the values, the moral, the training, the character, the qualities we needed to bequeath to our society. We take it out, and we'll be the one to suffer it, in no distant time. So, is an encouragement, and it is a serious discouragement to some, depending on where we stand in the matter.
Yeah. Lastly, Prof, as you look back and look forward in your career, what do you hope your legacy will be in terms of your contributions to the field of political science, both in Nigeria and globally?
Well, you don't call your result until you are out.
Yes, but you can plan ahead. What do you envisage? What do you want people to remember you for when it comes to your contribution to political science?
Well, I want to be remembered for the quality of research we have done. We've been able to, so far, profile some solution to our developmental challenges. Recently, for the past 5 years, my focus has been on the Nigerian fiscal system, where the issue of justice and equity in the share of our natural resources plays a very vital role. I was able to chronicle the fact that your ending crisis in Niger Delta because of the injustice that the region has been subjected. So I want my research, the findings from my studies, to provide a pathway to solving our intractable problem of nation building. Nigeria is great, but what we have is that lack of capacity to strike a balance so that our patriotism will not be to our ethnic or religious affiliation, but it will be to the nation. But until we're able to have that striking balance where we bring everybody into a common place and refer to Nigeria as their own. And that can only happen when we have that sense of ownership, collective ownership of the Nigerians. Then we can be doing things in common that can benefit us. So I want to be remembered for the quality of research I would have done, I have done, and I will yet do, and how I want to equally be remembered for the things, for the right thing that I'm able to stand for. I won't blow my trumpet, but I know I stand tall in my own right for
Yes.
what is right as an individual and within the department, as you know.
Thank you very much, Dr. Charles. I really appreciate you for creating time to be part of the program today. Thank you very much. I've been speaking with Dr. Charles Eghweree. He's an associate professor in the Department of Political Science, Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Benin. Continue to subscribe to our channel, bringing more interviews of UNIBEN alumni. Bye for now. 1970, we sure we did the forefront. Knowledge for selfish, for sure we did the work. Auditorium to basement of all faculty of law.